Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to Voice Integration Real-Time Sessions. In this session, I am going to demonstrate a BA Publisher Performance Optimization Best Practices with OIC. As a part of this session, I am going to cover what is the regular problems that we are going to experience when we are working with the BIP reports and how to overcome those issues. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to apply the techniques in order to reduce the performance issues in BIP reports. Okay, let's get into the topic. When we are synchronizing large volume of data from Fusion application to downstream, so the common orchestration mechanism which we are using OIC integrations. Basically, OIC frequently leverages Oracle BI Publisher reports to extract the data. However, as the data volume scale into the thousands of million records leads to the performing issues. Right? As a part of BIP extract, we can extract any transactional related data from AP and AR module, and also you can extract the journals. Okay, that means journals based on the period. Right? If you have a large volume of data, so you might face some performing issues. All right. So we can see what are the key challenges and that we are going to experience while we are working in the real-time project. Okay. So we can discuss each and everything and we can get into the practical session. Let's start with the first point, performance bottlenecks and timeout when invoking large BIP reports. So if you are developing in a BIP report, you know we have two sections like data model and second is the template. Okay, when it's talk about the data model, we have a SQL query execution. If you are preparing a complex report, you are trying to pull all the records from the transactional table. For example, your query is unsupported, unoptimized SQL query. That means it contain any poor joins or any missing indexes. That means which contain the nested loops, right? It might lead to the performing issues. So your query execution process might slow down, right? Apart from that, if you are building a template, right, for your requirement, either it could be RTF or XML, okay, or Excel, right? So your template is trying to fetch all the data and you are applying the XML or XSL transformation formattings, right? Heavy use of complex formatting, heavy grouping logic, inefficient XML outputs slow down your complete report execution process, right? In that case, how we are going to achieve these issues? Okay, we will discuss. Second one is high memory consumption and payload handling issues in OIC for high value data. So this point particularly about the OIC integration, right? So from the OIC perspective, when you are trying to call a BIP report through SOAP service, so many times we are going to experience a timeout issue, right? But the same SOAP service, when you are trying to run directly from the catalog, or if you are trying to run from a SOAP UI, you will not face any issues. But whereas when you submit that report from the OIC integration, you might see timeout issues. Okay, there is some limitation from the OIC side. It's not a limitation. How we are going to apply the logic in the OIC integration, right? So this issue occurs when the data successfully transformed to the BIP to the integration layer. This issue starts. Okay, when OIC calls a BIP reports, okay, the entire resulting document, that XML or a JSON, is loaded into your OIC, right? Then it is mapped to the your endpoint, right? So for example, if you are extracting the payload, which is 50 MB or more than 1 GB, okay, that time our OIC consume significant ROM within the OIC, right? If you are trying to submit the multiple requests same time simultaneously, so you are going to experience the timeout issues, right? Timeout issues means your integration will fail with the timeout after run for 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Okay, we will see how we are going to avoid these kind of issues. Okay, Third one, lack of real-time integration due to report generation delays. Okay. For example, you have a requirement whenever any sales order is created in Oracle ERP. So you should immediately send those sales order details to downstream. All right. So for this scenario, if you are going with the BIP report approach, you have to create a ESS job. You have to submit the job, right? Okay, and you have to wait for the report output. Okay, and you have to look for the report generation time. Okay, you can transform that report output to the downstream. So these are the sequence of steps that you are going to follow, but this is the kind of real-time data that you are sending to the downstream. But you are trying to use the BIP reports. They definitely you might face some issues. In that scenario, we have some other approach like you can go for soap service or REST service or event-based orchestration process. Okay. Next one is downstream system failures caused by unoptimized data structure or formats. So basically, BAP is highly flexible and can generate data in different formats like XML, CSV, JSON, or other formats. Okay, and also it has capability to provide complex and nested XML structures. Okay, in case that format is different for downstream application, so you might face these kind of issues, performing issues. Okay, for example, if your BIP report generates a date format in unexpected format, if your downstream application not able to understand, right? Okay, otherwise your BIP report contains special characters. Okay, that is not fit for your downstream application. So in that case, you might face some performing issues. Okay, so these are the key challenges that we are going to experience in while working with the real-time projects. Now we will go through the data model design best practices. When you are preparing a complex query for your requirement, validate your data model and keep it very simple. If you are referring the multiple tables from your query, review your joins, ensure your joins are correct to avoid data duplication. Delete any unused data sets from your data model. The next one is very important. You can use the with class to break down complex queries into logical named and smaller blocks. That is called CTE. CTE is nothing but a common table expression. If you are trying to extract the data from the transactional tables like related to the AP and AR or general related data, so make sure that those tables are included in the with class so that you can refer those CTA tables in your main query. Okay. The next one is prioritize joins over subqueries, reduce subqueries and complex case statement. Okay, instead of subqueries, you can go for the normal joins. Okay, the next one is replace NVL function with Colesic. It is a best practice. Okay, and the next one is utilize the pivot function for cross table reports. Okay, so and also you can fix index killing expression. You can avoid two care functions in your where class. Okay. The next one is enable SQL pruning. This is the one of the property in the data model. So by enabling this property, if you are not using data sets, so it is going to hide it. Okay, these are the some important. Still, you have some other property also. Okay, let's go through the SQL query. We can discuss more. I'm going to create a sample report for the demonstration purpose where we are going to get the customer transaction details. Okay. So for this requirement, we are going to extract the data from the RA customer TRX table. So this is the driving table. Let's go through the SQL query and we can understand. This is the query which I created. Okay. I break this query into logical blocks. Okay. Here you can see we have a multiple CTA tables. Okay. So invoice headers, customer billing, and term details, invoice line details, and a tax line pivot. Okay, this is the final select statement. It contain the simplified joins. Okay, so for this requirement, I just used ANSI joins. Okay, and you can go for the normal joins, but by using the ANSI joins, it is very easy to maintain the joins. Okay, so you can go for the normal joins also, no problem at all. Okay, If you go with the CD table for invoice header, here if you observe, there are two parameters are created for this report. One is the period end date and another is the business unit name. Okay, the moment the SQL query is getting executed, based on these two parameters, the data getting derived and the same result set will be referred at your main query level. So definitely it will give the good performance. Okay. So for when it's come to customer billing, so all the customer related data we are getting from the separate CTE. Okay. Similarly, we are going with the another CTE for term details as well as the invoice lines. Okay, and also for to derive the tax details. Okay, so here we are going to get the aggregate tax amount. Okay, parallel line link. Okay, so this is the separate city table. Okay, we are referring all the city table in your main query. Okay, and if you observe, so I for demonstration purpose I'm going to show you what are the other functions I'm going to use here. See here, instead of NVL I'm going to use the quality function. Alright, if you go for the NVL you can compare only one expression, but if you go for the quality function you can compare multiple expression. But if you still going with the NVL expression to handle the multiple expressions, it is very complex. You have to use the multiple NVL. Okay, so that is the one recommendation to improve your query performance. One more quick observation: when you are passing the end date parameter, right? I am not using trunc function for this condition, because so trunc applies to the index column even if the column has any index on the database table. It evaluates the trunc for each and every row before comparing to the calculate value. It will lead to the full table scan. Right, so instead of trunc you can go for the toChar. Okay, just I use this condition without the trunc. Okay, this is about some basic information about the SQL query. So let me go through the data model. So this is the data model. Okay, this is the query that we are using. Okay, if you go to the properties, okay, so here you can see one more option to improve the performance in the data model level properties. Okay, here enable SQL pruning. Okay, if you make it as an on, okay, skip unused data set query. So basically it will improve the query performance. Okay, here you can see some other options, XML outputs. So you can choose based on the requirement. You can go for include parameter tags. Okay, include empty tags for null elements, include group list tag. Okay, you can choose your option as per your requirement. Okay, so if you click on the view data, you can give a BU parameter and the date parameter. If you click on view, okay, we are going to get the data. Let's see the query performance. Okay, if you click on the view engine logs, open this file. If you come here, it will show you some high level details. Okay, data model diagnostic details. Okay, so username, and here you can see, right, data chunk cache size. Okay, here you can see online SQL query timeout 500 seconds, SQL query timeout 1800. Okay, all our details you can see here. Okay, here you our based on SQL query, this is the derived values. Total number of data sets 4, total number of elements 27, total parts 0. Okay, total data generation time 74 seconds. Okay, total XML data generated 4.5k 4.59 KB. Okay, this is the some high level details. Okay, If you click on the generate SQL monitoring report, this will give you some explain plan about our report, what we created. Okay. See, here if you see this, right, you can see the cost for complete query. Your select statement take, your CPU cost is 48. That means it's below 100. Okay. So if you see this, right, the query execution time 1 second. That means overall our query is very good. Okay. It's very well tuned. Okay. So whenever you are facing any query execution issues, that means your query is taking long time, just first look at your select statement time and what is the cost and what is the execution time. Then you can make the changes as required. Okay. You can see all the details. Okay. So one more in the parameter level, there is one more recommendation. So BIP parameter handling. So null value passing is a configuration applied in the data model definition of parameter. Okay, so that means if you want to pass the null values to the query, don't handle in the query level. Better to handle your parameter level. Okay, that is the one recommendation. Okay, let's go to the view data. View. Save as sample data. You can export. Okay. So you have to create a simple XML structure instead of complex. Okay. So let me go through the report and we will run it. This is the report. I'm going to pass the period and date. Okay. So report is coming very fastly. Okay, let me open this report. It's came right. Let me open in a CSV. Okay. So this is the way how we are going to improve your query performance to avoid any timeout issues. So once you improve the query performance, you might avoid any timeout issues from the OIC integration. Okay.